Let's unpack that with Democratic Texas Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett. Congresswoman Crockett, to just put a fine point on how dangerous all of this is, a professor who researches political rhetoric tells the New York Times, quote, normally a president would use war rhetoric to prepare a nation for war against another nation. Donald Trump uses war rhetoric domestically. He has only ramped up his attacks on everyone he thinks is against him, and yet you have Speaker Johnson visiting him. Your take on the message the speaker is sending to Trump, to members of Congress, including yourself?
Yeah, basically what we understand is obviously there is a circus that's taking place in Congress. We don't have adults that want to govern. Instead, we have a bunch of clowns that have decided that they want to bend the knee to this twice impeached 91 indicted. And I'm going to go ahead and say most likely soon to be found guilty criminal. Of one of these many cases that he has pending. It is absolutely anti-democratic what we see going on. The fact that we are ignoring the will of the people and instead doing everything that we can to appease someone who literally does not have our benefit at heart. And it's disheartening. And I understand why people are frustrated with politics when they see this kind of showmanship taking place.
Well, I just got to ask you, because you are an attorney, so you understand the way the First Amendment actually functions, the fact that he is trying to argue to his supporters that not only is his First Amendment right being attacked, but theirs is it doesn't logically follow.
No, it doesn't. And I want to be clear about something, because it's something that I feel like the MAGA crowd, I don't know if I'll attribute it to all Republicans, don't understand about the Constitution. It isn't that your constitutional rights reign supreme over any and everything else. There is a balancing act that takes place. And so when we look at things like First Amendment, it still has limitations, just like when it comes to guns. Second Amendment, there's still limitations that are supposed to take place. And Trump is the very reason that we need these limitations, because he exhibits the harm that we will all experience when someone who has this much influence is allowed to say and do whatever he wants to do. And to be perfectly honest, Alicia, I have represented my fair share of people in court. There is no way I could ever have a client that would be half as ridiculous as Donald Trump and not tell that client, your butt is about to go to jail because the judge is not going to play with you. He has not been locked up. They have everything that they need to lock him up, as far as I'm concerned, on contempt. And for those that don't understand, you can have a contempt action against you when it comes to a criminal case or a civil case. And in the case of the New York situation, it is a civil case, but he has absolutely violated the court's orders over and over. And because the MAGA crowd believes in nothing but harm and violence, he is inciting this violence, and now it is coming down on public servants, and it is absolutely deplorable.
Congresswoman, I know that you have been part of the effort to make sure that New York Congressman George Santos is held accountable. I wonder, as we look forward to this week, this could be a pivotal week. I asked Congressman Garcia earlier. He said he thinks you have the votes to force expulsion. Your sense of where that stands right now?
Yeah, so on the Democratic side, not every Democrat voted to expel George Santos the last time we had a vote. Now that it's been made clear that he's absolutely had access to due process doesn't necessarily just mean a criminal case. He's had due process in the form of what is available to Congress as it relates to our options on how to proceed. And he wasn't very participatory. And I completely understand, to be perfectly honest, because he's got prison hanging over his head. So I do believe that Democrats will stand united and will be voting to expel George Santos. I listened to him on Twitter Space yesterday, and actually George Santos himself believes that he will be expelled. Obviously, he's been able to have conversations with those on his side of the aisle, and he believes that the math is looking pretty stark for himself. So, you never know. But I will say that this is more hypocrisy from the Republicans, because the fact that they are so upset and indignant when it comes to George Santos, but they are constantly, as you mentioned in your opening, going to bend the knee to Donald Trump. Listen, George Santos ain't got nothing on Trump as far as I'm concerned. So, you know, they will like to say, look, we did the right thing. We got rid of this bad guy. So obviously we know right versus wrong. It is a farce. It is a lie. They are afraid of Trump. They will not do what they need to do. And honestly, they would be in a better position if they put anybody up but Trump. But, you know, they have decided that they're going to continue to play the ignorant card on this one.
Texas Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett, as always, thank you for taking the time to be with us.